Well, again, I want to thank you for your service to the parish as altar servers. It's a very important ministry. It helps people in the pews pray more effectively because you're part of the celebration, you're part of the service. You make it move smoothly. So I'm very, very grateful to you all for that. But what we want to do is to make a couple of changes so that things move a little bit more smoothly and a little bit more simply, okay? We're going to try to cut down on some unnecessary moving around, a lot of commotion, okay? So we're going to try to simplify things, and we're going to try to make things a little bit clearer, all right? The first thing we're going to do is that the ordinary number of servers is going to be 2, okay? Not 3, but only 2. So that means if there's the same amount of stuff to do, but now 2 people are doing it instead of 3, that means each of you who's serving is going to have a little bit more to do, okay? I don't want people sitting up here with nothing to do. That's just a waste of time, okay? So when you're serving, you're going to have things to do. The first thing to remember is that if you are carrying something, whether it's the cross or a candle or a book, if you're carrying something in a procession, you do not bow, okay? Do not bow. That's sort of a general rule which we've kind of overlooked here for a while, and we haven't done that very well. So that if you're carrying something and you try to bow, it looks a little awkward. And besides, often you're carrying something that deserves reverence and attention, so it doesn't make sense to bow to something else if what you're carrying is worth your attention and reverence. Okay? So the way this is going to work, since there's only 2 people, when we come in as a procession, we're going to have the cross-bearer leading, and then an acolyte or a server behind, okay? But that server's not going to be carrying anything, okay? We'll have 2 candles up here on the altar before Mass, lit before Mass, ready to go for later on, okay? But the procession in is just a cross-bearer followed by a server, and then the readers, and then the priest, okay? So I want 2 volunteers. You 2 right here. Catherine? Yes. Catherine and Sean, okay? Catherine, you're going to be the cross-bearer. Okay, you pretend you got the cross. Sean, you're following behind. So you come up the aisle slowly at a nice measured pace, not too fast, because Father Pat and I can't walk very fast these days. So walk kind of at a nice pace. Now, what we've been doing is coming up here and bowing and standing here and waiting for everybody else to catch up to you. We're not going to do that anymore. That just gets a lot of clutter up here in the front for no good purpose, okay? So Catherine and Sean, when you come up, you just walk straight over. You don't bow. Remember, you're carrying something. Walk straight over, put the cross down, and Sean, over to your chairs, okay? Much simpler. And you guys just hang right by the chairs. Much simpler. You walk straight up, no bowing, okay? Just straight up and walk straight over, okay? And that way this area is clear for whatever goes on. The book's coming up behind, and sometimes we have people being baptized and so forth. So you go right over to your chairs. That's the first change. Don't be hanging out here waiting for others to gather and catch up to you. Go straight over to the chairs, okay? The opening prayer, the priest is over here, as usual. You're still going to hold the book. So the server who does not carry the cross will come over and help with the book, as we've always done. So that doesn't change, okay? Here, Sean. And don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the priest kind of pushes you around or moves you to a point, to a place where the priest can see clearly, okay? So he opens the book, and he might go like this, or might go like that, might go like that. But the idea is that you sort of be flexible and you move wherever the priest wants you to stand, okay? So the priest finishes the prayer, you put the book back and go back to your seat, By the way, that's another thing to remember. When you're not doing anything, okay, you are just like the people in the assembly. So you take your place, your usual place, and you participate with the rest of the folks in the pews, which means you do the responses and you do the singing. There will be songbooks here for you to sing along with the people in the pews, okay? And if you, because the idea is that you are helping to be an example to the people in the pews. So people want to see you singing actively and loudly, just like everybody else, okay? So then the next thing, you've noticed we've started doing a little bit of procession at the gospel time. So we're going to continue to do that. Now this is how it's going to work. During the Alleluia, people stand up for the Alleluia. You get your candles, and the priest will walk over to get the book, and you guys walk right over in front of the altar in your usual spot. Again, you're carrying, walk behind one another. Catherine, come along right here, okay? And then you take your usual spot, and remember, since you're carrying something, you don't bow. Stand there. The priest comes over, gets the book. Okay, and now here is where the priest, depending on who it is, the priest may do something different. So good altar servers always are attentive to what the priest is doing, and you have to be flexible because sometimes the priest won't do what you're expecting. So you need to adapt, okay? So the priest may be holding the book like this, and he may turn and walk over to the ambo here, the pulpit, in which case you guys walk over with him. Take your spots on either side. Perfect. Well done. The priest reads the gospel, and then you go back. Take your spots again here. Now this is the other possibility that you need to be ready for. The priest may hold the book like this, but he may go this way. I'll probably go this way, and I'll come down like this, and when I get here, you turn and go, and I'll follow you, okay? So it's a little bit more of a procession, but either way, you've got to watch the priest and figure out what he's going to do, and then you respond accordingly, okay? When the priest is finished, you go back over. Don't stop and bow because you're carrying something. Go straight over, put the candles back where they go on the altar, and then take your seat. Everybody understand that? A couple of options. And who knows, depending on who the priest is, there might even be a third or a fourth option. But the idea is that eventually you get yourself over to the ambo and you hold the candle as an extra sign of reverence and celebration of the proclamation of the gospel. Okay? Then we finish the homily and we do the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed, and we're ready to have the gift procession, okay? Now, there's only two of you, right? So one of you, let's do Sean. Sean, you'll walk back and lead the people forward with the gifts, okay? But we're not going to carry the cross, okay? We're going to have the cross come in at the beginning and the cross go out at the end, but we leave it there in between. Okay, no reason to carry the cross. And you'll see why we don't want you to carry the cross in just a minute. So, Sean, you go back and be ready to lead the people forward. And Catherine, you come over and you bring the cups up. Actually, here, you take the book as well. Either in the beginning or at the end. You put the book on the altar, right in the center. Okay? And then you come and get the cups. And put the cups over on the one side, all together up in this corner. Perfect. Good. And Sean's back there waiting. The other two. And the cloths, the purificators, and the cruet of water. And just put the cruet of water on the altar. Now this is something a little bit different. Okay, you're bringing the cruet of water over and leaving it on on the altar because the priest is going to need that when he proceeds with this part of the Mass. So you've got the cups, the cloths, the book, and the cruet of water with the lid off. Okay. And then at some point, the priest will come down to receive the gifts. Catherine, you follow behind. Sean comes forward. Catherine, stand off to the side. Come down on the floor with me. Again, if the priest is up here, you stay up here. If the priest comes down here, you come down. Now here's what Sean's going to do. Now remember, if he had the cross, he would have to go back up and put it away, right? But then he's not here to help if he's doing that. So you come forward, and you come right over and stand beside me so that you're ready to receive the gifts which I receive from the people, and I give you one. You go put it on the altar. I give you the other, and you put it on the altar, and the priest follows after, okay? Right there in the center. Perfect. And then you guys go down, and you're ready to do what comes next, okay? So the priest is over here, and he's doing the water and the wine, and he puts a little bit of water in, and he's going to turn and goes like this. So, Catherine, you need to be ready to receive these things back when we're finished, okay? So you go back. The priest does his prayers, and then he comes over to get the hand washing, okay? Okay, washes his hands, perfect. Now, that was good job, because you've seen sometimes people have the cloth like this. I don't know why people do that. Well, I do know why. Because when there's one server, he's only got two hands, right? So he's got the water and the bowl to wash his hands like that, and then he's got to give the towel to the priest. But he has only two hands, so he has the towel on his arm. But when there's two servers, you don't need to put it over your arm like that. Just hold it in your hand. And the priest washes his hand, takes the towel, dries it, and gives it back. Okay, good. Now you guys are done, so what do you do when you're finished with your stuff? Back to the chairs. Now in the old way of doing things, the servers would kneel on either side, right? We're not going to do that. No reason for you guys to be up here, because you're part of the assembly now. You're part of the congregation. You come back and you take your usual spot with the other, the same as everybody else in their pews, okay? Everybody clear on this? So with two servers, one goes back and leads the gifts forward, and you wait back there until the priest is ready for you, okay? And then you come forward. And then the other server is is setting the table, so to speak. And then both of you are down here ready to help the priest when he gets the gifts and gives them back to you. Okay? All clear? All right, what's next? And you stay there in that spot. Okay. At communion time, there's nothing more for you to bring forward to the altar because the Eucharistic ministers are going to bring the bowls. You don't need to worry about that. Unless somebody forgets, and then the priest will say, bring those bowls over, Sean, okay? But when it comes time for communion, what you have been doing in the past, you've been coming down here to receive, right? And we're not going to do that anymore. That's too complicated. It's unnecessary. You just come forward, right here along the side, and right there is where you're going to receive communion, because the ministers are lined up back here, right? So the priest gives communion to the ministers, gives communion to you, offers the cup to the ministers, offers the cup to you. When you're finished, go back to your chairs, okay? And you'll have these cushions or something that you can kneel on if you want, okay? Any questions about that? Pretty simple so far, right? Then the last thing that's a little bit different is the procession out after Mass is over, okay? Oh, by the way, after communion, Normally the ministers will clear the dishes away, so to speak, and make sure that the altar is clear. But what you need to do is keep an eye out if there's anything left on the altar, like a cup or a cloth or a book. You have to take those and put them on the table. Bring the book over to the chair, okay? But again, the idea is that you're adaptable, you're flexible, you're attentive to what needs to be done, and you do it with confidence, okay? The end of Mass is over. The priest gives the blessing, the hymn starts, you get the cross. No, we don't need the candle, okay. Get the cross, and then you come down this way. And rather than standing up here, which is what we've been doing in the past, you're going to line up in here. We're going to form the procession right from the start. So the cross lines up right about here, turn around, and then the altar server right about there, and you guys wait. You wait for the priest to be ready to leave. The people with the books, the lectors, they're standing about here, okay? And then the priest will join in the singing. You guys are singing. Might stay for one verse, might stay for 2 verses, might stay for 3 verses. You guys wait until it's time to leave. Father Pat tends to leave quickly. I tend to leave a little bit later. But the priest will come over. He'll reverence the altar, bow. When the priest bows, what do? Nothing, right? Because you're carrying something. Sean, you're not carrying anything, but you don't need to worry about bowing, okay? If you want to bow, that's fine, but certainly the cross doesn't bow, okay? So we bow, turns around, ready to go, and that's your signal to go, okay? A little bit nice, slow, measured pace. Excellent, well done, well done. Okay, so those are basically 4 things that you guys need to do, and each of them is a little bit different from what we've been doing in the past. The procession in is different. First of all, there's only 2 people. The procession in is different. The cross leads, followed by the server. You don't hang out up here in the front waiting for the rest of the crowd to gather. Go straight over, put the cross away, and wait in the chairs. The gospel procession, and you hold the book for the priest when needed. The gospel procession, you carry the candles over, wait at the 2 corners of the platform here, and depending on what the priest does, whether he goes straight over or he comes around, you guys need to be there at the ambo when he is, okay? You saw how that worked, right? Procession of the gifts, bringing the gifts forward after the homily. One of you goes to the back to lead the procession forward, while the other sets the table with the book, the cups, the cloths, and the water cruet, because the priest needs the water cruet at that point. And then you be ready there when the priest comes down to receive the gifts. The altar server who's up here follows down behind, and the one who's leading the procession comes up and stands ready to receive the gifts as well. You put those on the altar, and then you go back to the table and you're ready for what happens next, okay? Priest may give you the cruet of water. You put that back. You wash his hands, or help him wash his hands, and then you go sit down. Communion time. You're going to receive communion at the side here, not in the front, okay? Just at the side. Receive communion, and you go back to your chair. You might want to take the book back with you. Well, you know, if it's still on the altar, you get things ready for the end of Mass, right? And then the final thing is the procession out. As soon as the blessing is given and the hymn starts, you got to be ready. You got to get that procession set up, ready to go. So the cross and the server come down, not up here, but down here in the aisle. So you're ready to go. Okay? Cross at the head of the procession, then the altar server. As soon as the priest comes down and bows, you guys turn and go. But again, move at a moderate pace, not too fast, not too slow. Any questions? Pretty simple, okay? So we've tried to eliminate a lot of this back and forth stuff and a lot of bowing and scraping that goes on here in the center. We've tried to make things a little bit simpler and more and less complicated. But each of you has a little bit more to do because there's only 2 of you instead of 3. So that's a good thing. I'm hoping that these changes will allow the celebration of Mass to go more smoothly and with less clutter and less complication. Okay? You all clear? Any questions? Complaints? Thank you very much. And again, we're very, very glad that you are of service to the parish in this way. We'll start these changes on Pentecost Sunday, which is not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. So everyone will have a chance to, and maybe we'll even have this up on the website by then, so that you can watch and refresh if you need to. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.